today we are going to finish Bee Farm on our very cute little display here that's from Paisleys and Polka Dots. So this comes unfinished wood that you piece together. I've got a video that shows all of that. Julie from Paisleys and Polka Dots includes the easiest to follow instructions, very detailed. She's got great tutorials available as well. You can go to her website. She's got them linked there. Find her on YouTube. She shows different painting techniques, how to put together different display pieces that she carries in her shop. But the instructions are super laid out, nice, clear, easy to put together. So I've gone ahead and done that. I've picked my own paint style for this board. So I have that all shown in one of my other videos, but I did a succulent green underneath, and then this is like beach glass on top. So I did succulent green on these pieces, a layer of the crackle, and then the beach glass on top. And that's the effect that I got for that. And then here it's a brown underneath, a light medium brown, and then white on top for the crackle. So different ways you can finish these to whatever colors you want, but I thought this color looked really nice. Picked up the wing color here, and then I chose to do my honey in the gold, and my bee as well. In the inside I did gold. So these, again, show the video that I did, and her instructions are super awesome. So really easy to put this together. You don't have to do a crackle effect on it. It is a little more time consuming to do crackle because it's paint the first layer, let it dry, paint the crackle, let it dry for an hour, paint the top layer, let it dry before you can assemble everything. So it does take more time to do a crackle effect, but I think it was well worth it for this piece. I love that crackling. So you can finish it, again, whatever colors suit your home, your decor, the palette, whatever stitch you're gonna finish on it. But this is how it all comes together. This is one of the pieces to go on the front for your display. So I haven't attached that yet. I'm gonna go ahead and attach that, but I was trying to figure out for this stitch what I wanted to do. And I think by the time we get this is a 5.5, or sorry, 5 by 5 stitch size. So by the time I finish that, it's gonna just ever so slightly have a little bit of the black around showing. I was debating whether I wanted to do like a fabric back here or just go with the black, and I think I'm gonna go with the black. I did pull out some different trims and stuff that I might try around the edge just to add a little extra decorative something. I also was considering maybe doing cording and using the same threads that are in this design, but I'm not sure exactly how we're gonna do it. I like to just kind of start with the basics, get this on a board, get it on top, and then just kind of play with some different things and see how it goes from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach that to this, and then we'll come back and do the measuring. Make sure that this did come out stitched 5 by 5, and then decide what size we're gonna cut our mat board for it to go on. I'm gonna do a layer of batting behind it, and I'm gonna stitch it onto the board probably today. All right, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and cut down the mat board. So always want to make sure you're starting with a nice straight edge that you're measuring off of. So I just trimmed a little bit out of the way to make sure I had that nice clean straight edge. And now I'm going to go and measure out a 5 by 5 piece of mat board here for us to stitch our, to lace our piece onto. So always just making sure that everything is nice and straight. I highly recommend a ruler that has like the anti-slip little grips on it. The Creative Grid rulers are my absolute favorite. This is not what I'm using here, but it is definitely my favorite ruler. Okay, so now we're going to move on and get that mat onto a piece of batting. So I've just picked out a little scrap. I like to use my batting spray to adhere the mat board to that batting so that it's not slipping, and it makes it a lot easier when we go to lace our piece on or glue it on. You just don't have to worry about that batting shifting around or pulling up or anything. So it's on there nice and good, and then we just want to make sure, always check your batting to make sure there's no fluffies or strings on it, because sometimes if you've got light fabric, if there was a string left behind on there, you can see it through your piece. So always keep that in mind when you're putting batting on. And now we're just going to go and make sure, look at the front before we start anything and kind of get a general placement. Start, using your fingers to kind of press it on and move around from side to side, checking the corners and straight. Anywhere where there's a straight line, you really want to keep an eye on that. And then just kind of making sure our gaps our spacing is equal everywhere. Once we think we have it in a pretty good place, we're going to start the lacing process. I just use a very fine crocheting thread and a large needle. I usually start with just a knot in the one end, just a single knot, and then we'll thread it onto our needle and get started. Now, when you're lacing, I by no means am an expert. There's tons of amazing tutorials out there to get lots more information and tips and tricks from. This is how I do it, and I just try and go back and forth, side to side, keeping it nice and tight along the way. You can always go back and tighten things up as you need to. Lacing is a wonderful thing because it is very forgiving. It allows you to kind of have that movement in it. You watch out for knots because it's easy to do when you've got a long thread like that. So just grab a little bit of that fabric and go back and forth, back and forth. It is always a good idea to do a serge edge or a zigzag around your fabric so that it gives it a little bit more structural integrity on those edges, and you're not pulling the threads through as much. This is a Lugana that I stitched onto, so it is a lot more durable than a linen would be. With linen, it is a little bit more delicate and pulls a little bit different. So just try out different tensions. Like I say, you can always go back and tighten it a little bit more, just like you would with a shoelace. It's better to do that than to pull it too tight to begin with. Now that I've got the two sides started there, I'm going to go in and kind of fold my corners. I like to do like a half fold down like that and then tack it in place and then fold it again. And I just find that this is the best way that works for me to not get that seam like right on the edge where you can see it, and it helps keep the bulk of that corner down while giving you a nice sharp corner. So play around with it and find the best technique for you. Again, we're going to go like a half fold and then just scoop some of that fabric, get it tacked in place. I kept hitting my camera because I'm not used obviously to having it above me while I'm doing this, so sorry for that. But again, the long thread, it does make it a little bit more challenging. I am totally myself not opposed to gluing pieces down, especially stuff like this. If it's something that's going to be like it's a piece you've put hours and hours and hours into, and it's an heirloom that you're going to be keeping forever, want to pass on to your children, generations to come, lacing is definitely the way I would go. But for smaller projects like this, I am definitely not opposed to gluing. I just like to do the lacing when I'm trying to do a tighter finish or something that is very square like this. This has a lot of stitching. It's not completely squared off, but it does have that straight line banner at the top that is really crucial to kind of make sure it's staying straight along that edge. So it's a lot easier when you stitch it on to kind of go back and play with it and manipulate it to make those straight edges nice and crisp along the straight edge of the mat board. So I generally, again, I go back and forth between whether I'm lacing a piece on or I am gluing it down. Whichever you're more comfortable with. I always say the glue is quicker. There's less knots with the glue, but I do find it's quicker to do with glue, and I'm comfortable doing it with hot glue. Hot glue is not as forgiving as stitching. If this didn't turn out great, we can just snip that thread and start again. Or like I say, you can go back and you can like pull the tension, release it where you need to, and it's a lot easier to make adjustments in the moment. So I always go and do a little bit here and there, grab, and then after I've done back and forth, anywhere where it's puckering, I generally go in and scoop that pucker and pull it, and it'll pull that pucker right down. Always check the front of the piece to make sure that you've got it nice and smooth and there's no gathers or bulges, and that it is exactly placed where you want to. And then you can kind of just move it around to get it exactly perfect to sit where you want. So we're going to do one last little thread through here. There's just that extra little pucker. All right, and there we go. So again, we're just checking the front to make sure everything looks good. I absolutely love it. It looks perfect. This stitch came out wonderful, and my model stitcher Kimberly did an excellent job as always. Thank you. So now you could tie that string down once you've decided it's good. Everything looks like it's in place, no need for adjustments. I usually end up just gluing it down with a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to put a disc here on the back for using a magnet to attach this piece to our finishing board. So because I'm using the glue already, I just tend to glue it down. I find it easier than doing a knot and to get the tension that I want of that last little string. So put a little glue down there, waited for it to cool, and then just smushed it down with my finger a little bit so it wasn't like extra thick on the back. Trim off the excess little tail. The discs that I'm using on the back, I have them in my Amazon shop. A reminder to everyone, I am in Canada, so my shop is Canadian. When you go and you click on it, if you're not in Canada, it will say more than likely will not deliver to your area. I have everything listed in my Amazon shop that I use, that I get from there, so you guys can get the information you need to find it. Copy the name of the product and search it on your US site so that you can find it easily. That is why I have everything listed there for you. So it's easier to find than me just saying they're car mounts. So those are the metal discs. They're supposed to go on your phone for a magnetic car mount. I've never used them for that, but they work amazing for finishing because they are so nice and thin. It gives you a wide surface so you have a lot of play and adjustment with your magnet. And then these are the nice strong magnets. Again, I get mine on Amazon. I always get the larger size ones. Generally for a project this size, one is more than enough. And there we go. We have Bee Farm all finished. I absolutely love how this piece came together. It is so fun to see it all as one. The board, the everything, the design, it just plays together so nicely. I could not be happier with how this piece turned out. I hope you all enjoyed finishing this one with me today, and there is still time to join in on the Bee Farm Sal. It starts April 23rd of 2024. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you again soon. Take care. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Erin Elizabeth Designs. And if you enjoyed this one, please subscribe and hit that like button. You can also turn on the little bell to be notified for my next video.